the Prime Minister that if you don't include me, what is happening? You are showing your strength there, Mr. Goley. You're 400,000 strong. But Mark Jefferson, 400,000 strong is not the majority, sir. 400,000 people is a fraction of Jamaica. Jamaica has about 3 million people living here and another 3 million living offshore. Why do you keep referring to those 400,000? Are they all comrades? Or did they vote for the party as an alternative? And why are you going into the parliament to tell the Prime Minister that 400,000 people vote for you? What is it that what is the message that we are to, unless you clarify this, sir, unless you clarify this, then we can only speculate. So I'm inviting you or a member of your party to come here and clarify, what do you mean? We don't want to put any words in the mouth of the opposition. What do you mean? Because if you don't tell us what you mean, then I'm going to be forced to interpret what you mean. I'm going to be forced to interpret it because I'm going to press for some answers. When you say that 400,000 people vote for you and that you represent 400,000, it raises some questions. Are you seeking to divide the country, for example? Just ask. Is this a message you want to send to your supporters? There is a sober truth. It's 10:30. Get into you, callers. There is a sober truth when politics meets reality. Sober truth. And when you look at the oppositions to the $6.7 billion reconstruction package, it's a masterclass in tone-deaf politics. The opposition leader calls for sobriety. I did a 4-minute video on that. Go to my page, like it and share it. Go do that now. Go to Hello Neighbor, and I did a neighbor's note on that. Go and like it and share it. Mark missing the mark. Go to Hello Neighbor, like the page, follow me. And you know what is interesting? Is that it's not only the leader of the opposition that seemed to be out of touch. It's the entire party. It's the entire party. Because as he spoke, they applauded. You could hear Nikisha Burchell in the background. That there's nothing to applaud. Nothing to celebrate. And that's a stark reminder of the disconnect from the people. And we have to admit that the multilaterals' swift response is a testament to the government's prudent management of the economy over the years. The finance minister today reset the Students' Loans Bureau despite, I think they're adding $9 billion to the budget. And even with Melissa's destruction, the government's promises in its election manifesto is being met. Listen to the finance minister.
Nikisha Walsh and her team are here to join me in launching the debt reset. This was an initiative that we talked about and announced before election. It's one of.
By the way, the Student Loan Bureau is giving $60,000 to students in the 5 parishes that were hardest hit. $60,000. $60,000 per student in the parishes that were hardest hit.
Or election commitments, and I am proud to say that despite Melissa, despite everything that has happened, we're here today to announce this debt reset and the new face of the Student Loan Bureau. And so I want to say this morning, the Student Loan Bureau is not your mother or your father's Student Loan Bureau. Yes, it's a new SLB, new offices, comfort.
That's the debt reset that was launched this morning by the finance minister. Despite Melissa, the government is honoring its election promises.
And I want it to be clear that I don't need to be threatened.
And the Prime Minister feels that they might threaten him. That's not violence, you know. But this push for power is becoming very concerning. Let me leave it there for tonight and take a couple of my callers. Miss Caroline?
Yes, sir.
Who do we have? We probably will have to get back to this because my notes are long tonight, and I don't want to be too long-winded. You see, not true.
I wouldn't term it that way.
Say that again.
I would not term it that way.
You don't think it's long-winded? Yeah, yeah.
Listeners, please repost the live, tap the screen, and share the live, please. Thank you. You ready to take guest neighbor?
Yes, I do. I am.
Okay.
I am ready. By the way, I see Mr. Dobney, Mr. Delroy Dobney, has a program in Portmore saying no to vote buying. No more movement. Mr. Dobney seems to have launched the No More movement over in Portmore. He is encouraging Portmore residents to stop buying vote. Is Mr. Dobney suggesting that it was vote buying that cost him the election? Is that Mr. Dobney suggesting that is by the buy more? In Dobney? Well, love to talk to him sometime in the future. You could set that up for me, Caroline. Mr. Dobney is by you have evidence of that, sir? Well, we'll be happy to talk. Good night, Sir Harry.
Good night, neighbor. What's up?
How are you?
Not too bad, you know.
You in your bed or you eat your dinner?
Not too long finish have dinner. It's a filled day.
You must eat so late, man. You must eat so late. You will put on weight. Harry, the finance minister today launched the. Did you take? My goodness, I would that the cup much nice.
Neighbor, before you go forward, could you please add Scratchy for me, please?
Okay. Well, I don't see him. So, when he comes up, I'll add him. Did you take out student loans, Mr. Harry?
No, neighbor. I did it the rough and tough way, you know.
Oh, you are from a well-off family?
No, neighbor. Just coming up, I worked as a student worker. Any little work I could have done at the university, and took on other work as well. So.
Well, very good. Harry, how is the government able to continue its program of delivery to the people of Jamaica despite losing 40% of the productive capacity of the country? How is it able to?
Neighbor, it would have been a series of and years of preparation to get the country and the economy in a stable state in order to be able to afford the what we would see now in this dire situation as a luxury, because these grants and actions of government is something that we've never seen in times like this, right? But it stands specifically to how fiscally responsible the administration has been over 2 terms. So it's something I like to stress, that it was something that was done yesterday or last year or the year before. It's something that brewed almost over a decade, and these things that are being done now, neighbor, in a disaster time are actually fruits of those labor.
Yes. No, I would have thought, though, Harry, that the debt to GDP would have been a little larger. The government is saying it's only going to go to 69%. It was just 9% more, Harry.
Approximately thereabout, neighbor, because when I know the finance minister and her team crunch a number, they would have also factoring how they may take the 6.7 billion US dollars in tranches, and that is critical and key because, as I pointed out before, that I know the people who want to put out misinformation and so on will look at it to say we're taking on that 6.7 billion US in one go. And I'm happy the finance minister clarified it that it's not something that operates like the cap markets where you take on all of that in one batch. Something you do in a as you need basis, right? So
in other words, that's not coming onto our debt all at once.
right.
Okay.
And
Where is the government
again, we don't
finding-
have to necessarily take all of it as well.
Where is the government finding the additional $9 billion in the supplementary budget that they have added? Where is that money coming from?
Well, when I looked at it, Neighbour, I was getting some information. I didn't quite finish correlating it. But one of the things we would have seen is the crypt insurance, for example, that would have helped out. That is something they're also increasing to ensure that we get even greater coverage. So it's several, I want to call them programs right across that would have contributed to the fiscal responsibilities of this administration, Neighbour, that would enable us and enable the country to benefit from that.
But then that
Which would
9%
have also-
but that 9% is widening the debt goal. If you were really at about 60% and you are moving that up now to 69, that means that you are taking on debt. Where is that money coming from?
Well, taking on the debt, Neighbour, well, for one, we have to look at the fact that our economy will be down. So naturally, we are not at that high level of productivity to be offsetting it, for one. The next aspect of it is that the package that's being put forward by the world institutions, right, that are helping us, something that the opposition is not fond of, is one such that we can help. I believe there's around 12 million US in there in terms of grant and aid that is also helping. That's not something we're even paying anything on because it's being given to us. Of course, I know the government would have also came to market and extended a few bonds. I believe the GOJ 2035 in itself, it would have been 2028, I believe. I'll fact check that as well. But they would have extended some of these instruments that allows them to pull from the cap market prior to the Melissa incident. So that also falls well within how well they've gone ahead to govern.
Fantastic. Now, I see too that the funds raised, the $650 million, the government is saying that all of that money, the cabinet has decided that that money is going to go towards buying material for people to build back their houses. 650 million, quite a substantial start, Harry.
Definitely, Neighbour, right? It's one that they would have seen that money being targeted for infrastructure building, really. It's again, I think I saw earlier as well, I think it's George who would have run some numbers and compared Ivan incident with with Melissa. Definitely not the same, but it shows how both administration went about obtaining funds and the time as well. I have to point out specifically the time, because this level of aid and assistance from the government in a lesser catastrophe, it took a longer time for that administration to garner anywhere close to what was needed, and they still didn't got there. So what I see the government doing now, Neighbour, is astonishing when comparing to previous times. So when I see people saying the government is not doing anything, I don't think they understand what's really happening. They don't understand the magnitude as to over time how several administrations would have governed in disasters. And this one stands the test of time and has also been well ahead. But I think let me also add it for you as well, neighbor. It's 662 million US.
Sorry, 662 million that will be going towards the purchase of material.
Right. It will also help with regarding the liquidity and supplemental of contingency resources. That's how they would have framed it, right? Of course, some of this money is what we see being designated to like the homes coming in, which I know a lot of people is saying it may not be enough. I did also see Dayton Campbell raising a point in Parliament regarding Eastern Westmoreland having over 5,000 homes damaged, but I'm still waiting on him to confirm and show us that that's facts, so we can have a good discussion about that. And even so, regardless of 5,000 homes being affected or being totally damaged, it is again not the government responsible to give everybody everything.
Yes. So
those are one of the things pointed out. I want to also draw as well, neighbor, when we look at how well for the supplementary budget, where this 142 million US that Miss Williams speak about, roughly let's call it about $30 billion Jamaican, would have been split across 6 ministries. So the largest ministry would be economic growth and infrastructure, getting 7.2 billion. Local government and development getting 4.6. Ministry of Tourism, 3.4 billion. Water, environment and climate change getting 3.2, followed by agriculture, fisheries and mining, 3 billion. And then Ministry of Energy and Transport getting 1.5. This in itself, neighbor, also points out to the different areas and the significant funding that would be needed for us going forward. And also it points out into what areas have been greatly damaged, right? So I'm happy it has been structured in this way, that a lot of this funding is going towards infrastructure development in preparation as well for when we do get another disaster. We are more resilient, we're stronger, and we're building for at a higher standard, which is critical. The next beautiful thing, and this I hope changes the culture of people, right? The CRIF insurance that's being increased, not just is covering the country on a larger scale and for more money, but the CRIF as well is coming with the micro home insurance, right? I want to do a deep dive in it so I can get some further information. Maybe I have to reach out to Guardian Insurance because they're the one it's being launched through. And what this means is if we can shape the people's mind into obtaining some of these micro insurance, I'll try to see as time goes by what the packages may look like regarding these insurance. But they're looking to do up to $6.5 billion committed to that. So there's also something as to, while it's not something tangible, it is covering the people themselves on a micro scale, on a smaller scale than just the country. So this government and administration is not just looking to insure the country and protect the country itself, but its citizens are being equipped and being exposed to instruments that can also protect themselves. And that's something we've never done before. So again, this is unprecedented times as well from a governance standpoint. And I do hope it helps to turn and change the culture so we can protect ourselves even more.
Fantastic. No, were you surprised, Harry, by the opposition's response to this yesterday? I must tell you that I did quite a bit on this today, trying to understand why they would have responded in the way they respond. Sobriety, they said, we should be sober about this moment, nothing to celebrate. Were you surprised that the opposition took that route?
I'm not Neighbour, right? Because there are some things that don't surprise me after a while, especially when you have a better understanding as to what the narrative is being pushed.
Do you,
Of course.
do you agree that this is not a moment for celebration, that it's a moment that we should be sober about? Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily, Neighbour. I think it's one to celebrate in the essence that yes, it's a disaster, but we've never ever been able to garner this level of confidence from the world, Neighbour. We've never even come close to cover any budget or any budgeting when it comes down to a natural disaster. One of this type of magnitude. Again, Ivan has been the second most behind Melissa, and we weren't able to cover that. Based on the number, I believe persons got like what, $10,000 at that time. If you work the inflation, it's a little under $50,000 thereabout. So that wasn't even anything to compare to now, where people are actually getting more. If I'm using what the opposition MPs are saying, they're giving their people $100,000 out of the 10 million. That would have shown us that it's well more than what any other administration has done before. So I would understand the point from the opposition leader and the opposition party on the fact that it's a time where we wish we would never have to borrow this money, but our country is not at the level to have that level of financing just yet, right? We're not old enough and structured enough just yet to be able to just take up 6.7 billion from anywhere. So we have to understand the context of it. So if they were saying that, I would have get it. But they're painting a picture like, oh no, we take on this debt now, we're in dire situation, we just might have just as bad or even worse than the Melissa effect, when that's not the truth. And again, that is in line with the narrative that they want to push, the misinformation and so on. And it's definitely being disingenuous. It's a level of injustice to the people of the nation who doesn't understand how that money works, how government will be working with that as well. And Neighbour, I think eventually this specific part will come out as them being blatant liars, and that's sad.
Barry, why was the government able to attract this type of confidence from the multilaterals? Why?
Well, for one, Neighbour, that NIR grew from in 2024 about 438 million, right? Which placed it currently at the 6.2 billion, if it's still at that amount. That in itself, as we brought down NIR, how robust it is, what it stands for a country, especially when it comes on to investor confidence, how we can handle any liquidity shock or monetary demands in an economy. And the more that NIR grows, Neighbour, the stronger we get. And it shows a level where even in this disaster, there's no sign of us defaulting on any of the government bonds, any of the debt that needs to be paid. No sign of that, because we are now stable and a lot more resilient and stronger. So we were able, when the rest of the world look at us, to say, they have this. This is what it stands for. This is how good they have, how far they've come and how good the governance has been over 2 terms, right? It is a confidence through fiscally being responsible, being disciplined, being forward thinking, and also I want to play on the words of being world leading, because that structure of what the NARA stands on, the pillars that NARA stands on, also in the latter stages allowed us to garner even more from the global community, right? Because what that did was in the disaster, it gave anybody, meaning any country, any institution that wanted to help Jamaica, it gave them the confidence that this money will add value to the people. It will be targeted to the most vulnerable for first. It will also be able to help the country move forward in a sustainable way. There will be great accountability, and the level of integrity that the administration has stood on also plays the part in that. So it's a myriad of things that when you put it together, like, you know, they say we're out of many one people, it's like a melting pot of awesomeness that you want to see from your governing body.
No, I can't remember in my lifetime, Harry, Jamaica being in this financially sound position. Can you?
No, neighbor, I grew up in the most testing times when we see. So from a failing financial sector that crippled almost wiped out an entire middle class, which is something a country needs in order to move. So it's like we're now in a rebuilding process, and we've caught another gear in here. And in catching that other gear to move forward, we had a little stumbling block because of Melissa, but it hasn't been derailed because of how well we've done as a nation. So it's not where it's just the government that does it. Yes, they do it from the macro level, but I also would have seen lifestyles being changed of the people on an individual level. We see where people are now becoming a little bit more financially aware. They even astute as well. But we see where the average man now wants to take full responsibility as to how he governs his household, in keeping with the times that we're going through, whether that may be from Melissa to COVID to the recession in 2008 to all of that. We're seeing a change in the demographical aspect of things and how people are governing their day-to-day operations as well.
Former Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller coined the term about balancing the books while balancing people's lives. Harry, is there a disconnect in the society as it relates to our financial strength and what the people are feeling?
I'd say to a great extent, neighbor.
Why is that?
Well, for one, in my lifetime, while it's changing slowly now, we don't have good conversation when it comes on to money and economics, neighbor. So we don't understand. For one, a lot of persons don't understand their own country's financials, much less to know what that means on a global scale. In order to put it into context, you also have to be able to compare your own country to someone else. And if you don't know anything about your country, how it's governed and that aspect, it is very difficult for you to know how good or how bad you are.
I'm trying to speed you up a little bit. Is it that the typical Jamaican doesn't really care about these issues? Macroeconomic, fiscal discipline, NIR. What they care about is flour and rice and chicken back and curry and Carlsberg juice. Where is the disconnect? Because here you are saying to me that we're so strong financially that the multilaterals have sought us out after a disaster, made 6.5 billion. That's more than $1 trillion Jamaican dollars. If you should spread it from Kingston to Montego Bay, you spread about how much time, Harley? Not enough time, eh?
Definitely. I think one of two things as well is that one, I think I see Usta putting it down there. We have, when it comes down to economics, we've politicized it. And the culture that we have, neighbor, we struggle when it comes on to politics. So the moment and it's a strategy. right? By whosoever it is in terms of in governance and so on. You know, if you politicize something people don't like, a topic of politics, they don't fancy it, right? And you can pin it with their day-to-day operation. They're not interested because it's with something they don't like. So they don't talk about it. They have no interest in it. But this is where ignorance is not bliss. It's not what you don't know won't hurt you. It will hurt you. And it's been hurting Jamaica for a while. Right? The second aspect of it, Neighbour, is that it's not cute. It's not fun. It's not exciting to learn about these things. It's not sexy, Neighbour, because
you don't like to say that word sexy?
Well, for people, Neighbour, when you put it in that way, it's not something that evokes that happy emotion for the average person. You have to be intellectually inclined and want this to be that stimulated, right? But we're more so focused on the happy things, you know, you jump up and down, you party. But even then, we've never stopped to look at it to say, okay, if you go party and you used to could have only buy one beer. 3-4 years later, based on where the country is and based on opportunities afforded to you as an individual, you can now buy 3 beer. But we don't even bring it down to that molecular level, Neighbour. We just say, yo, me are going good. But you are going good has a bigger aspect of it, and we never look at the bigger picture like that because it doesn't concern us. Or a rich people thing or a politician thing that not concern me. But that's not true, because the policies put in place of an administration, how they govern the country, will have its impact on you.
Absolutely. Finally, Harry, in this segment, the government yesterday suspended the fiscal rules. Now, what are the fiscal rules and what does it mean that they are suspended?
Well, that one would be for Scratchy Neighbour. When you look at it in terms of it, I don't want Scratchy to go even further, but the fiscal rules really facilitate the recovery and rebuilding, all right? One of the things why suspending it's a necessity when it comes down to how we have to...
The fiscal rules keep the government in check. Those are rules that were set up, I think, from Bruce Golding's administration. The PNP did some work on that too. But what it does really is it limits the government and it holds the government towards certain targets. Correct, Scratchy?
Definitely, but whichever government should take power because of an election, that government, if a new government should come in place, that government must also follow the physical rules, neighbor. They cannot deviate from it. They must follow it. And a suspension in the physical rules, neighbor, simply means that the reason why the government suspend it is a possibility that, neighbor, that government might see a shortfall in projected revenues, and government might increase its spending, and government might borrow more. So the government had to suspend the physical rules in order to carry out these things, because the physical rules have a certain cap level as to how much the government could borrow and what was estimated to come in. So with the suspension, the government can now go ahead and borrow more. And there's also going to be an increase in the debt to GDP as well, neighbor. That is a big thing of the physical rules, but expected to go to 60%. The suspension right now, it is expected to increase. So yes, neighbor, that's the physical rules.
Thank you. All right. Harry?
Yes, neighbor.
Stay where you are. I'm coming back to you here. Scratchy?
Yes, neighbor.
How you doing, man?
I'm not. I'm okay, neighbor. Not bad at all. Blessed night, Harry. Blessed night, everyone.
You want to help me buy one generator, Scratchy? You can't. Your pocket still.
So you want a generator? Go on. Still have light problem?
Yeah, we still have a little bit of issue. But listen to your Prime Minister, Scratchy. Listen to him.
We will need voices other than the government to explain some of the decisions that we will have to make.
We will need voices other than the government to explain some of the decisions that we will have to make. Scratchy, here is your Prime Minister admitting, Scratchy, that the government alone can't do it. What voices is he talking about that he needs? Okay, Scratchy just got a call, and
yes, neighbor.
yes, go ahead.
Definitely, neighbor. I think that's what we're talking about, the voices overall, neighbor. Other persons who support what the government is doing, neighbor. Persons who have a voice, otherwise, on platforms like these and otherwise, neighbor. To just come out and also come and help the government in pushing the message forward, not just for a political point, to score political points, neighbor, but from a Jamaican standpoint, neighbor, and a governance standpoint, want to clear up the misinformation. We know that our persons who have sent know that a lot of things that are being spewed out there in the public, neighbor, are false information. So I think we also have a responsibility to our country, neighbor, to come out and combat these misinformation. Government, as the Prime Minister said, government alone cannot do it, neighbor. All of us have a role to play. We came out, we go out and we voted in the last election, neighbor. So I think we have a right to just come out and try to stop this misinformation as best as possible.
Okay, now the Prime Minister yesterday in the Parliament said this.
And I want it to be clear that I don't need to be threatened. I just want that to be clear. I am not going to accept any threats.
Who is threatening the Prime Minister, Scratchy?
Neighbor, when I listen from the opposition members in the neighbor, the way they make their pronouncement, neighbor, the way they make their requests, it bothers, definitely bothers some form of threat, neighbor, like they're trying to put the Prime Minister in a spot or something where we have to yield to whatever they say. So he's just making it very clear that he's not going to move by any threat or anything like that. And I think the opposition has been doing that ever since the election, neighbor. And I'm glad the Prime Minister really saw it right now and call it out in no less a place at the Parliament and let them know that he will not be moved by any threat, neighbor. The opposition leader in particular, neighbor, based on how we come out, when you notice when he's talking, neighbor, his body language, sometimes, neighbor, body language says a lot, despite what you're saying with words, but your body language also says a lot. If you look at his body language, neighbor, if you look at how he projects his voice and the tone that he uses, it's not coming off in any formal way or like you're making any genuine suggestion. It's like you're holding up me and telling me that this is what I must do and this is what I should do. And the Prime Minister is letting them know that that's not how it goes. Definitely not.
All right. The opposition leader in the Parliament yesterday, Scratchy, said that he represents 400,000 people. Let me play him for you.
And damage the country's future. Which is all the more reason why the composition of this recovery authority is important. I wrote to the Prime Minister on the day after the hurricane to suggest the establishment of a task force with broad-based representation, leaders from the private sector and business community, leaders from the churches, leaders from the NGOs, and representatives from the government and the opposition. The concept of NARA is consistent with that. However, I've heard nothing from the Prime Minister as to the role of the opposition in NARA.
No, first of all, Scratchy, why is Mr. Golden revealing to the country in this medium his conversations with the Prime Minister? Why is he doing that?
Again, neighbor, Mr. Golden is just showing us, neighbor, how informal of a leader he is, neighbor, especially to be an opposition leader. And the Prime Minister also made some mention of this, neighbor, that he has no problem dialoguing with the opposition leader, neighbor, but he also wants to know that whatever they speak about, neighbor, some form of privacy or it is held in some form of confidence. And the opposition leader so far has not displayed that, neighbor. And more than one occasion, he has come out and spewed information that the Prime Minister had private dialogue about. Case in point, even the announcement of the $1.5 million to a member of Parliament. The opposition leader in his press conference came out and preempt and jumped the Prime Minister and made that announcement. Very, very unfortunate and very disappointing and unprofessional from our opposition leader, neighbor. And this guy really needs to get checked, neighbor. I like how the Prime Minister is really really checking him right now. And this guy need to get checked. Civil society, I'm asking civil society. I need to hear civil society coming on more, neighbor, and talking about the style and the leadership quality and the style that this guy is portraying across our nation, neighbor. It is not sending a good message, and it has the possibility, neighbor, to split the nation, and that is what concerns me the most.
All right. Yes. Then he went on to say this.
We heard it will be broad-based, but there is no inclusivity in the dialogue around how it is to be constituted. And I can hear from the barbs that are flowing from the other side that the likelihood is that we will not be included in it. That is what I'm hearing from the other side in their responses to me. They're sort of a
Scratchy, the opposition's insistence to be included, isn't it true that executive responsibility belongs solely to the government, and there is nothing that says the opposition must be included in anything here?
Definitely not, neighbor. There's nothing in the law that says that the opposition must be a part of this process, the recovery process, neighbor, in terms of how the government do what they're supposed to do, neighbor. The opposition leader, neighbor, again, I tell you that it is based on whatever he think. He's just thinking, all he see right now, neighbor, is just politics, and he just want to be a part of it, neighbor. And I personally, neighbor, I'm not for any of these bodies or groups, neighbor. What we want right now is to cut out the red tape, neighbor, and fast process. And these groups and these guys are just going to come and add to the red tape, neighbor, and slow down the recovery process. So I'm not really in support of any of these things, neighbor. One of churches and no opposition and no private sector. We don't need that right now, neighbor. We have a government that we elected like 2 months ago, neighbor. And as the Prime Minister said, we need to give the people who we elected a chance, allow the government to work. We must allow the government to carry out its function. The opposition has no executive power. So you being a part of any organization, any group that the Prime Minister or anybody, neighbor, you will just be toothless. You cannot do nothing. You don't have any form of power. You cannot tell anyone to move this or move that. You don't have any form of directive power because you are not elected under the Constitution to have any form of those type of power. So neighbor, I don't see the reason for this guy running down to want to be a part of this thing certain way to a certain level. I don't know what level he keeps talking about being a part of NARA, being a part of this. I just can't understand it, neighbor. What is this issue? And you just need to understand, neighbor, that there's nothing that said that the Prime Minister must or should include the opposition as part of whatever recovery process. All protocol stands as to how they were in terms of the opposition, neighbor, going forward, as long as it's within the institution, and it is. So there's no more need to be added, neighbor. Nothing more need to be added.
Then he went on to say this.
Remarks. All I can say is, Prime Minister, the opposition represents some 400,000 voters who voted for us, 28 constituencies, and our presence in the recovery and our participation in the recovery, you'll be well advised to seek in a genuine...
You'll be well advised to seek it because we have 400,000 people who voted for it. What do you think of that?
That's the threat that the Prime Minister is talking about, neighbor. That's one of the statements that's so threatful that the Prime Minister made mention about. How the opposition leader speak and how we come across. And again, neighbor, a very misunfortunate speech from the opposition talking about he's responsible for 400,000 persons who voted for him. As the opposition leader, you represent Jamaica, that's the Constitution say. And I don't think that our office like the opposition, neighbor, which is a part of our Constitution, will be set up to only defend a certain section or a certain amount of our population. So again, the opposition leader heard their neighbor.
Mr. Golden is a sensible man. Is Mr. Golden not aware of that? Why would he keep saying this? Because he constantly repeats it that he represents 400,000 people in Jamaica. The elections aren't over, Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor, and the point of sensible, yes, neighbor, we have seen a lot of persons tend to show themselves to be sensible, neighbor. When I see these persons in front of the parliament, in the parliament, especially, neighbor, there's a total different level of sense. You see these persons to be wanting for that level of understanding of how the parliament operates. And Mr. Golden, neighbor, has tarnished his career so much since he has become the leader of the opposition. I can definitely tell you that, neighbor. This guy, personal career has tarnished so much.
He has tarnished his career.
Yes, neighbor, definitely, neighbor. I thought a lot of persons who knew Mr. Golding personally, neighbor, from the private sector, neighbor, I think a lot of them are shocked and astonished, neighbor, to the type of style and behavior that is coming from this guy right now, neighbor. I think definitely, neighbor, his reputation has taken a hit, neighbor.
Yeah, but I don't like this talk, Scratchy. I'm trying to figure out why is this necessary? Why is it necessary to tell the Prime Minister that I have 400,000 people here and 28 seats, so you would be well advised to include me? Can't do that, Scratchy. Can't do that.
Definitely, you can't do that, neighbor. Again, that's very true. That's a threat he's sending there, neighbor, to the Prime Minister. That's the Prime Minister letting him know that we won't be stand by taking it from a threat. Again, neighbor, this opposition leader, neighbor, one of the worst opposition leader, especially from the PNP side that we have seen, neighbor, probably in the history, neighbor. This guy don't understand. I don't know what playbook he's going by, neighbor. He opposed every single thing, neighbor. This guy has never given the government any form of accommodation or any form of respect for nothing that has been done, neighbor. We saw where we have a reduction in property and this guy tried to spew it a different way. We saw where the reduction in crime, he's saying he's only going to congratulate the police force and not the government. But when crime was high, he blamed the government. So, neighbor, this guy is just a confused guy, neighbor. And I like how he's proving himself, neighbor. And as someone who class himself to be a Tapanaris, neighbor, a lot of his Tapanaris fellows, neighbor, are saddened by his...
He has classed himself as a what?
A Tapanaris.
A Tapanaris.
Yes, this guy get class himself and goes by the mantra of being a Tapanaris, neighbor. And I'm saying that a lot of these Tapanaris.
He said he's a Tapanaris, sir?
Yes, that's how he style himself to be, the Tapanaris.
Wow.
He and his Tapanaris friends. He speak highly about he and his Tapanaris friends.
But Tapanaris are big shots.
Big shots, neighbor. Big shots, neighbor. Big shots. And this is why you see this guy's style, he's portraying the style that he's coming with, neighbor. You think that because he's a big shot, he can just come and take over our country and take over our parliament.
Did Mr. Golding really say that, so he's a Tapanaris?
Yes, he said that he and his Tapanaris friends, neighbor. So once he said that he and his Tapanaris friend, in that case, neighbor, in that context, I think he's referring to himself as a Tapanaris.
Wow. That is a Tapanaris leader.
Tapanaris leader, neighbor. A Tapanaris leader, neighbor, with a party that suffers from majority of the persons who are in poverty, majority of the persons who can't read, majority of the persons who continue to make ill decisions and rude decisions, neighbor. Support that party. So I don't understand, neighbor. That's why you cannot connect, neighbor. There's a disparity between the leadership of the People's National Party and its core supporters. And it's the first in the history, neighbor, the People's National Party has ever produced a leader, neighbor, who cannot connect with the base or the core of his supporters. He cannot go down to the 11, neighbor. He's not used to that lifestyle.
He's a Tapanaris.
Tapanaris, neighbor.
Wow.
This guy go to school with chauffeur drill, neighbor, and have chauffeur and have help and these type of things, neighbor. That's how these guys growing, neighbor.
Yes.
That's why you find that he can't relate with majority of the population.
I wonder if that's why he's not showing as much respect for the Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister is not a Tapanaris, sir.
Definitely, neighbor. Someone of the opposition leader caliber, neighbor, doesn't feel or doesn't think that someone like the Prime Minister who come from a humble beginning, neighbor, should be in a firm or some form of authority over him. So, he's going to always try to prove that, neighbor, based on his social status, he's bigger than the Prime Minister. But he doesn't understand that in the Parliament, it's not about social status, neighbor. It's the people put you there. And the Prime Minister is the Prime Minister. And you have to respect that office. And we don't care who you is or who you are, how much money you have. That don't matter in the Parliament.
I didn't realize that. I need to look at this Tapanaris thing again. That's a bit of elitism and maybe classism at play here too. Anyway,
definitely, neighbor. Classism at its highest level, neighbor. That's why I see the Prime Minister is coming under the attack that he's coming under, neighbor. You look at the type of persons who are against the Prime Minister, neighbor. Are persons who come from the upper echelon of society.
Wow. The Tapanaris people.
The Tapanaris people, neighbor, they are the one, neighbor. They don't believe that persons who come from these humble beginnings, neighbor, should hold this type of authority and this type of power. That's why one of the main things I am happy that the Prime Minister went back to school, neighbor, and gained a doctorate while being the Prime Minister, neighbor. So that only thing now they can come and talk to him about education.
Oh.
They can't come and talk to him now about education because that what they want to try to use against him, so he might not only stop at a degree level. So I'm happy that the Prime Minister went on further himself, Neighbour, and got his doctorate while being the Prime Minister. So they do have certain things to come to him at an educational standpoint now. You only try can attack him based on his humble beginning. And none of us have control over where or how we were born, Neighbour.
That is true. That is true. Fantastic scratch off for us, Scratchy. But I think the Toponaris thing there is a fascinating thing. Hold on there, Scratch.
Oh gosh.
Toponaris, I tell you. "21 after 11. Claudette, good night to you. Fox. Joshua John, are you there? Good night to you, sir.
Good night, sir. How are you?
Are you up? Have your coffee?
Boy, no amount of coffee can help me tonight. And I'm not talking about just being tired. I really don't want to sleep. I'm tired, but I've been sounding a certain alarm for months now.
Yes.
You know, and I saw a tape I saw a TikTok video was made, and then a voice note accompanied it, which kind of confirmed the alarm that I was trying to, in my view, confirm the alarm that I've been trying to sound. And it's rather disturbing, but I think we are taking some things too simple, and history will prove me to be correct.
Okay. Joshua, here's where I want to start with you tonight. I would like to get your view on the whole matter of the Prime Minister asking that other people join the government in explaining the policies of the government. Why can't the government do it?
Right. So the truth is the government, well, first of all, good night to your panelists, Harry and Scratchy, and all of your guests, wherever they are. The truth is, if we have been listening to the Prime Minister over the last 6 or so years, especially within the last 4 years, whenever he's making a speech, he doesn't just make a speech that is expedient, whether it be in Parliament or he's at a groundbreaking ceremony or any other thing that has to do with Jamaica. He's at pains to explain the policies of the government, not just mention it, not just speak of the benefits which exist, but he goes into details trying to explain policy, how they work, how they function, and the benefits that will be derived from it. Yet, because of the mass propaganda that has been mounted by the opposition party, view to detract from the message, and the amount of persons, and I know I'm repeating when I say mass and amount, it has taken away from that message. And so what I believe that the government is trying to do, the Prime Minister himself is trying to do, as well as the rest of the party, is to engage those who are knowledgeable in relation to the policies that are there, that have been implemented, and the benefits that people can get from these policies and are intended for people, for those persons with those knowledge, to delve and to dive deeper into it, to explain, to counter the false narrative that is being put forward by the opposition and the propagandists.
The Jamaica Labour Party Communications Task Force, the Observer is reporting that they're saying that they're going to step up efforts in war on misinformation. Joshua, would you not agree that they shouldn't be talking at this time about stepping up any effort, but the party should be quite on point aware of this long ago and was doing something about it? Why did they wait for it to come to this point?
I agree with you, sir. And it's unfortunate that I have to agree with you on this, not because I want to be disagreeable, but rather because the onus is on the party itself. When we look at the PNP has always been in campaign mode, whether they are in government or outside of government, and more so under Mark Golding due to his desperation in wanting to be prime minister of the country. And as a result of that, not accepting that a duly elected, a duly constituted authority is in place, and he's not that authority, and he's not the elected leader, right? And so, along with that, there has been a history in the JLP wherein whenever propaganda starts, the JLP is of the view that people will understand that these things are lies and ignore it. Not just the people will ignore it, but the JLP has largely throughout the years ignored these things. I have spoken to many JLP persons, and I'm talking as much as far as MPs. I've called them and told them of things that I know personally. And I've said, hey, this is what is happening. And they said, no, it's soon fade. I personally have spoken to them, right? And I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about 8-9 years ago when some things just began. Called them on their phone and they said, no, don't pay that no mind. That will soon pass, right? And I've lived to see those things grow legs, right? And unfortunately, it is now coming to the point where the small snake has now become an anaconda, right? And now poses a danger to the rest of the zoo.
Okay, now that statement the Prime Minister made yesterday about threats, Joshua, are you concerned that the Prime Minister is having to speak like this and to be sounding an alarm as if someone is threatening him?
I am concerned not only for the Prime Minister, but for any country that finds itself in a position where the leader of the country has to be taking both defensive and offensive action against propagandists and against propaganda. And not just any propaganda, but a propaganda that has been largely steered and begun by the opposing party. I will say this unapologetically, right? And without fear for my own life, that the opposition leader is behind it.
Behind what?
All of what is taking place, including the threat against the Prime Minister. I will say it unapologetically and without fear for my own life.
Behind what, sir?
All right. So if we listen to what the opposition leader has said, and we can go way back, but let us speak of the most recent. He said, the PM is well advised. Let us look at a parallel. When we were children, and if your parents say something to you and you don't listen to your parents will say, stay there, don't listen to me. All I can say, see. Or sometimes your brother or your sister may tell you something that your parents may say, and you say, boy, mommy never said that. And you say, all right, just stay there. You wait till mommy come. So it's a veiled and not so veiled threat to say, listen, if you don't want to take my advice, you see these 400 people who back me, listen to them and the threats that they are giving you on social media. When people are going to pass their hands across their necks, when people are going to say the youth them are going to rise them machine. And I'm saying this, I'm saying what others are afraid to say in the neighbor. I am not afraid, sir. I am a dead man walking already, and I don't care, I know you have never heard me speak this way in the years you have known me. We have known each other for 16 years, and you have never heard me speak this way. I am a dead man walking. I don't care.
Yes.
I already
I've
purpose in
never
my
seen
heart.
I never see you as a dopey, sir.
Well, I have purposed in my heart
Uh-huh.
that they're going to come after me, and I'm willing to pay the price. I don't care one bit. It's time for somebody to expose Mark Golding and what he's up to. Labour right now gonna give up this so easy, you know. Me have a strength with me. The junglers them back me. Huh? That's what Mark Golding is saying. The tape I heard, it is very damning. And I've sent it to one of the senators already.
What tape, sir?
A tape that speaks of a threat against the Prime Minister's life, and they're planning on uprising. And Mark Golding, I believe with all my heart, is behind it, because we have been seeing the tea leaves. I have been reading the tea leaves, and I've been warning. Even last night, I was here speaking of these things, and I've been warning from September, even before, and I've been warning from September that we have to listen to how he has been behaving, and I've been citing history and how they start slowly with propaganda and eventually overthrow. And this is what has come to my attention, that they're planning an overthrow, and this is not just tacitly.
Overthrow of the government?
That's what they're planning.
What is... What? But Joshua, we have had a very, healthy democracy. We go to the polls and we elect leaders. We survived a one-seat majority, Joshua, in 2007. Why would we even countenance that?
Sir, we survived a one-seat majority when we still had statesmen in our parliament on the opposition bench. And we still had a leader who, despite his opposing nature at the time in the form of Peter Phillips, was still stately and understood what it means not to cross certain lines. Mark Golding has no such caution in him. Mark Golding has no assets in Jamaica, so he has nothing to lose. He boards a plane and heads straight back to England, while the people of Jamaica feel it. All he wants to do is to say, I'm a prime minister, if it's even for one day. When the opposition leader can mount a protest against the country that he wants to lead because it's politically expedient, when an opposition leader can only think of bad-mouthing a country and not think about the consequences of same, and even if he thinks about it, don't care, it says that that man is desperate and he's willing to do anything to get his clutches. He reminds me, and I said this last night, he reminds me of Hitler. Last week I told you that I see tenets of fascism in this man. And I've been warning, and Labourites have tried to dismiss me over and over. When I say dismiss me, not in a rude way, but almost brush it aside, sure. And I've heard Scratchy said a while ago, respectfully, Scratchy, I love you, my brother. Mark Golding have sense. I don't share that, because good sense is different from just having sense. Mark Golding don't have that kind of good sense, that kind of sensibility. Mark Golding is drunk with the idea of becoming prime minister. And as Jamaica Politics Uncovered said approximately 3 years ago, that they came across a WhatsApp message, because she's a part of the WhatsApp group too, when he says we will destroy Jamaica and build it back in 5 years. We must not take these things lightly. And I hope the US government is listening and be prepared to come down and swoop down if it's even a firecracker go off, and let them feel the pangs of it. And they must take no man breathing. None must be left breathing.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
As I said before, and I hope Mark Golding and his team is listening, I'm a dead man walking. I don't care. I love my country too much, and I'm willing to give my life for it.
Uh-huh.
PNP don't love Jamaica. One PNP said, and when Chuck told me, I told him it wasn't true until I heard otherwise. And Chuck is not a liar. Chuck told me that he was talking to a PNP and alive. And the PNP said, if he has to choose between his family and PNP, he will choose PNP. Now, what kind of fanaticism is that? That is indoctrination and cultism. And this is what the PNP has done. The former PNP YO wrote to them about paying people to tell lies. And when you can stand against your country in the name of getting the person who you want at the helm, it says you don't love the country. And this is a pivotal moment for Jamaicans to look within themselves.
They are paying people to tell lies, sir?
Yes.
Oh? Is that happening in Jamaica?
Well, April 2019, Jamaica Observer. The article is there. The former president of the PNPYO, Christian Tomlinson,
That came out in the Observer here, sir?
Yes, sir.
What are you saying to me? You have the article?
Well, I'm willing to read it, sir. Willing to read it. And for the brilliant minds who are far more erudite than I could ever be, whether in hopes or reality, they can dissect it and tell me what they think it means. You know, this is a sad moment in Jamaica's history when people are so drunk with the idea of being in power that the safety of the nation and even their own children doesn't matter to them. I wonder if they understand what it means for something like this to happen. When PNP said approximately 2 years ago that they will make Jamaica like Haiti, this is not a new thing. Jamaica Young Police Channel mentioned it 2 years ago also, that a man was imported from Haiti, an assassin, to do a certain job. Militant PNP, I'm reading this, sir. This is April 2019 from the
Observer. From the Observer, sir?
Yes, sir. The Daily Observer, Jamaica, April 16th, 2019. The heading is Militant PNP YO getting quiet support from some elders. And I've screenshot an excerpt. It says the youth arm further recommended an overhaul of the PNP's communication machinery, which political analysts say was found wanting in the lead up to the 2016 general election. And as recent Portland Eastern by-election. Communication, PR, and propaganda machinery must be financed. Listen.
The word propaganda machinery is there?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Must be financed. And the PNP is suggesting a structural reform, which means hiring adequate staff. So you must have a mass of people, right? And making some positions redundant. We need a communications director, somebody in charge of telling lie, with a clear voice, a clear message, and full access to all 63 constituencies. So this is not a small undertaking, right? And their communication processes so that there can be cohesion, togetherness in doing this, and communication reaching the grassroots from the party's leadership. From where? The party's leadership. It doesn't get clearer than that. The Jamaica Observer, 16th of April, 2019. This was printed in, written by Crystal Tomlinson, former PNP YO. This is something that they're financing, the mass lies against the Prime Minister. Ronnie Lawrence being inserted within the IC is not by accident, and I've been sounding the alarm from the moment he got there, and nobody listening to me. This is a chess move by the PNP. Now that he's the director of prosecution within the IC, director of corruption prosecution within the IC, it's not by chance, and we see the first chess move. It's designed to paint not only the Prime Minister as corrupt, but his administration, so that the people will become incensed, and then it's easy to agitate them and get them to do their bidding. We must not bypass these things. We must not take them lightly and say it cannot happen. History has proven itself over and over that it has happened before. And all of these places that it took place before, I am sure that they felt that it couldn't have happened before it actually took place.
Well, I just pulled up a piece of tape, and I'm wondering if this is supporting your argument. Listen to Mr. Fitzhenley again.
But this lot, this brand of Mark Golding-led PNP, my God, they lie about matters of lot. This brand of Mark Golding-led PNP, my God, they lie about matters of national importance and current affairs.
This brand of PNP, they lie about a current affair. That's Mr. Fitzhenley talking there, almost supporting what you're saying, Joshua.
Yes, sir. Sir Neighbour, Jamaica's the closest we have ever come to this is in the 70s, you know. And as dreadful as the 70s was, that culminated in the violence of 1980, it was nothing compared. You see, persons often speak of the violent election of 1980. But what they did not...
Hold on there, Joshua, but you don't think that a lot of these people on social media are just individuals rolling up their mouths? They love their party and they are doing their little thing. You
No,
really
sir.
think it's organized and
No, sir.
funded?
Sir, my entire family are comrades. I am the only laborite in my family. I know how they function. Right? And, sir, I want to issue a warning. And let me tell you why. We often speak of the violence of 1980, the election of 1980. But what we have not spoken about is where it began. 1980 was a culmination of what began from 1976. Right? We look at 1980 and when it spiraled out of control to 800 plus persons losing their lives. But 1976, when the opposition started targeting, when the government at the time started targeting the opposition members, and as bad as that was, this period is far more dangerous, because now he has enlisted voices that are of note. Entertainers are now a part of it. Right? People of influence are a part of it. It is a deliberate attack on the state by the opposition leader. That is why they keep asking the same questions over and over, and they have enlisted even journalists to do their bidding. Because the aim is to get people so incensed and against the Prime Minister in particular that they are willing to do anything that is required of them to overthrow the government. And I'm repeating, sir, they are willing to do anything that is required of them to overthrow the government. Mark Golding himself won't get up and do it because it would be too obvious. But what he does, he fan the flames behind the scene. And it started when he went on the stage 4 years ago to call the Prime Minister thief. And then it later went on further, to almost a crescendo when he went to overseas to do his demonstration. And we observe that every time the Prime Minister tried to do something, Mark Golding will ask for something. And whenever he gets it, he refuses it and then come back and say it never happened. And then he's saying that the Prime Minister is not communicating with him. What do you think the followers are going to believe? Why, this man is this man. And every time that Mark Golding says that, then people become more angry. And you have never heard the opposition leader at any point in time. He loves press conference, but he has never gone on a stage to say, hey, guys, tone down the rhetoric. Because he can't, because he's the person behind it. He's the puppet master. That is why he boldly stated 400,000 persons voted for him. He's the puppet master. This man is more dangerous than Mussolini. I said it before and I will say it again. It's the most dangerous opposition leader or political leader Jamaica has ever seen. The closest to him was Trevor Monroe, who wanted to assassinate Michael Manley and took over and blame it on Edward Seaga so that he could have been Prime Minister of Jamaica. The closest to him was that person.
Wow. Boy, Joshua, I'm only 13 minutes left, and you've filled us with so much tonight that we're almost shaking, sir.
Sir, I definitely would like Jamaica not to take this thing lightly. The time that we take, and I'm not saying that persons mustn't have fun as individuals, but whenever we go online, I've said it to persons, the reason we are there and the reason most of us know each other, and I'm not talking about those who already knew each other before social media. I'm talking about those of us who came in contact with each other on social media, in the political space. The reason we knew each other is because we had one common goal and objective. We must remember when we go online, that objective that brought us there in the first place. And we must seek to destroy the folly, the propaganda, the lie, the misinformation. The lies are getting out of hand, and I'm speaking to all well-thinking Jamaican, irrespective of which political party you support. Think about the consequences of the lies when the nation is in flame. Can your children that you love so much bear a nation that is in uproar? If you think the 90s were bad, when you heard about Kingston and you trembled, if you have a revolt in the nation, an uprising in the nation, a coup in the nation, it will make what Kingston was in the 90s be like a one-day-old baby in comparison to what will happen. I am asking Jamaicans, irrespective of which party you support, Neighbour, before the parish council election, and I'm going to call two PNP names. Before the parish council election last year, I was on caution and I spoke about us dialing it down because it's getting out of hand. I asked Hugh Blair to let us meet and show a sense of unity so that we can ask the others to dial it down because this thing is getting out of hand. Ask Hugh Blair. Anytime he comes up, you can ask him. And I asked him to let us meet, he, myself, Chuck, and Hugh Richards. And as a show of solidarity to dial it down. And as bad as it was then when I asked for it, it is multiple times worse now. I'm saying for the sake of the nation, this thing has gotten to a point where it's like a keg filled with powder that loads, the GUN. And all it needs is just a match to get it going. When there are voice notes going around, the official did the video and he's able to play the voice notes, and he has called upon JCF and he says, I am willing to supply the other voice notes that I have to you, JCF, so contact me. And voice notes are going around that the Maroons are planning an uprising. And this is sad. And I've been warning against this for the longest while. I've said last night that I've studied Mark Golding carefully and I've not been wrong so far. And for that to come out today is still proving me to be correct. And I want to be wrong, and I've not been wrong yet. I have studied the man carefully. The man is a narcissist. And he's a dictator. And he's drunk with the idea of being prime minister. And he's the puppet master behind everything that is happening.
Well,
and Neighbour,
yes,
I land there.
Well, sir, we have to keep talking, all right? So I'll talk to you about the insurance matter at another time, eh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, Scratchy.
Yes, Neighbour.
Scratchy, the Jamaican democracy has been very healthy ever since we start having elections. Governments and oppositions have had their times, but we have been able to pull through. We survived a one-seat majority. Joshua is pointing out some very concerning things, Scratchy, also protecting Jamaica. Is it just that social media has just gotten out of hand, Scratchy, and people are just allowed to say anything, and it's becoming just so toxic?
I mean, I mean, Neighbour, we are see things different. I definitely agree though that social media is definitely out of hand, and things have become so toxic. I mean, this is one of the election cycle, one of the periods, Neighbour, where we're in, where with social media, the assistance of social media, where we're seeing persons coming out now more, and we are seeing those threats now coming forward, or those accusations or disrespect or attacks towards government coming now forward. So looking back and looking now, it can be seen as threat, it can be seen as cool, but I think it's just social media amplifying it, Neighbour. I think it's a social media amplifying it.
I see the former constitution minister calling for a restoration of criminal libel to curb misinformation. You don't think that probably we need to support the Mrs. Malahoo Fort, that if we don't do something about this, because, Scratchy, I don't know that Jamaica understands what is freedom of speech, Scratchy. I think there can be no violence when it comes on to freedom of speech. You can't be free to threaten people's life.
Definitely not, Neighbour. Definitely not. Despite freedom of speech, Neighbour, it comes with some form of responsibility. The persons need to understand the responsibility that comes with freedom of speech. It definitely cannot threaten someone's life and say that's freedom of speech. And I would definitely support that, Neighbour, in the form of legislation, Neighbour, that comes with buffing against persons who are spewing misinformation, and we definitely support a legislation like that, neighbor. With how broad and wide and the reach of social media, neighbor, is, we definitely have to have something from a legislative standpoint, neighbor, that can protect governments, protect persons, especially government personnel, neighbor, who sometimes the law doesn't go in favor in terms of their favor in most cases, neighbor. So I think definitely, neighbor, something needs to be done, neighbor, from a legislative standpoint. But it is of concern based on the misinformation. We know misinformation, neighbor. We know what it can do, what it can cause. It can cause, yes, government to lose election and stuff like that. But in terms of a coup, neighbor, I'm not seeing a coup right now, neighbor. When you look at what is a coup and how coup occurs, neighbor, it normally come from a majority standpoint, neighbor. I'm not seeing majority of Jamaicans against and Jamaica alone and this Jamaica Labour Party government, neighbor. When I look at what is going on down there, what I see the PNP doing right now, neighbor, it's no different from what they were doing in their campaign. They're just keeping their base alive. Whatever message they're spewing, whatever misinformation they're spewing. Yes, for international scene, some persons who are not in Jamaica might see it and say, yes, this is what is going on. But if you look at a majority of those persons, neighbor, they also share some support towards the People's National Party. So I'm yet to see what the People's National Party is spewing coming off on a more larger basis than just persons who support the organization. And I understand, neighbor, a coup normally comes with majority. And with that majority, neighbor, it normally comes with the security forces. And when you look at the security forces, neighbor, security forces is more professional now than ever, neighbor, with the advancement of technology, both the military and the constabulary. So I'm not seeing it.
Mrs. Malahi. Listen to Marley.
Libel was decriminalized in November 2013 following the passing of the Defamation Act. The law eliminated the distinction between libel and slander and replaced the defense of justification with the defense of truth. But Mrs. Malahoo Fort believes, based on threats posed in the digital age, criminal libel may need to be brought back. She explained that these days, fake news has the potential to travel fast.
Because right now, at the touch of the finger, stories go viral. Literally millions of people can see it within seconds and minutes. It's not a suggestion that is to shut down free speech at all, but it's to examine this new context in which we are operating, when already we have numerous examples of people manufacturing information and putting it out that cannot be verified and just blatantly untrue.
During a handing over ceremony in Little London, Westmoreland last week, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness declared war on misinformation. He told his audience that he and his government would fight back against any attempt to mislead the public about the response to Hurricane Melissa. Mrs. Malahoo Fort says misinformation is being spread recklessly and with negative intent.
It's not simply a matter of my not liking what you say about me. It is the gross recklessness. It's the manufacturing of information that is not true, putting it out with malice aforethought sometimes, but we must be open enough to discuss these things.
Yes.
So it's not about rolling back any hard-won gain at all. Context has changed, and I think we must respond to changing times.
Mrs. Malahoo.
Well, that is the former constitutional minister speaking about.
Hello, neighbor.
Yes, hold on, no, sir. You hold on, no, man. Speaking about the whole matter of misinformation and the fact that we may have to restore criminal libel. I don't know that we can have a society where people put out misinformation on you, Scratchy, and you can't do nothing about it in Scratch.
Definitely, neighbor. No.
So you are gay. I see a man put out one something say my man beat me up. So my boyfriend beat me up.
You can't do nothing legally about it.
I can't do nothing about it. Really? Come on.
It's madness. Totally mad. It shouldn't just be when about.
And you know, Scratchy, here's the sad part of that. There may be people who believe it, you know.
Exactly. There may be people who believe it.
People may start looking on and say, I wonder if it's true. I wonder if it's true.
Exactly. Leave people to start speculate.
You understand what I'm saying to you? You Scratch. It can't be right. Cannot be correct, sir. You know, sir, I see them using people's image, put it up in the background, and saying some, you know, Scratchy, if you don't do something about this, then people are going to take it up in their own hand.
Exactly.
You hear me? People are going to take up things in their own hand. If them don't take it up, them friends will take it up or their family. And it can't right. Good night.
Exactly, neighbor. Because as I say, persons are persons whosoever can take it up, and it definitely have to stop, neighbor. Stop must be put to it. As I say, something from a legislative standpoint must be done to combat this misinformation and attack on persons' personal character. Can't continue like this.
Yes, sir.
Social media, neighbor. It's all amplified by social media.
Sean?
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure talking to you. I saw you one day, one night while I was on with Mr. Charles. They are the hardest people to get to. I have a situation, I don't know if I can tell you it on here. I am one of the storm victims in St. James, but I end up coming to town and I end up homeless, and it's like everything I get to right now because I had a strokes, 2 strokes on my back, and it's like where I'm living I have to leave, and I don't know where to go next. Honestly, believe you me, we call a program, but it doesn't really stress I'm going through. Honestly,
I'm sorry
really
to hear
rough
that.
one, believe
You
me.
said you were in Westmoreland?
I was in St. James.
And you left and come to Kingston?
I came to town about 3 weeks before the storm, and just to do a little driving work because I can't be begging thing, and people when I come to town with, it's like I honestly I don't know what happened, but I can't say much, but it's like I end up homeless and I'm not going for me, and I'm totally fed up because I have a little money saved. I have a friend of mine, I'm telling my situation, and the person scam me, take 15,000 off from me, and I can't see the house, and it's like everything just go back way. Sorry for my speech because of the strokes, we can't talk so good. So it's like everything I read, and I'm totally fed up. Believe me, I'm so fed up in a way that it's really just really it's just for me. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not
Okay.
believe me, it's not easy.
Yeah. All right. Where are you now?
I'm in Kingston. Get a little place to catch. Which we need so much we live because we don't live nowhere. But honestly, don't live nowhere.
Okay. I tell you what you do, sir. I'm going to give you a number, and you write it down, and WhatsApp me.
We get this strokes from my right hand side, and we can do the writing. Is it a possibility we can I'm going to try to see if I can inbox you can can I leave my number?
You are on TikTok now, correct?
Yeah, because I'm left on my use.
Yes. So you don't have nobody beside you?
No, I'm alone. I'm alone there.
Then how you cook and wash and all that?
How do what?
Cook and wash.
Say somebody give me one little small washing machine, and it plays on me stay at town, me get solar car and to wash my clothes and one thing. So it's about just honestly my talk and believe me, I talk with pain in my heart, believe me, pain in my heart, trust me.
Yeah, I understand. All right. Send me. What I can do is to see if I can put you on to some government agency to have your case looked at, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna write my number in the comments.
No. Don't put it in the comments. You can't send me a message.
Your neighbor.
Send me a message on the TikTok.
Message. I'm gonna write my number in the comments.
For what?
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. That even sound better.
You know, don't put no number up there.
So thank you very much. No, okay.
Go to the page, sir, and put it in the message.
Well, we just honestly, Yes.
Did you hear what I
Yes,
said, sir?
yes, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
Yes, Sean. Okay.
Just go to the
To my page,
and send a message.
write a message to me. Go
Yes.
to my page, Hello Neighbor, and send me a note.
Maybe become a part more because I was on his live and him allowed me to get some food that day, and he really rough, believe me, really rough. Trust me.
Hold on, sir. You are from Westmoreland, you say. So what you do at Trelawney?
No, St. James. No, I have. When we see a Kingston, me have like Wi-Fi. After certain hours, like when I get cool down,
Mr. Patmore is
Wi-Fi thing come on.
Mr. Patmore is in Trelawney. How you get to Trelawney?
I was just going through the phone other day and look up on in live. You know.
How you got the food in Trelawney?
No man, somebody actually drove to me. Come at Linda's Road and give me the food.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, sir. No. Listen to me, sir. If your situation is real, there is no question that you should have some support that can come to you. So that so you're gonna send the number, okay?
Yes, I'm gonna do that. As I come off the phone, I'll send it in a message.
You buy credit or use Wi-Fi you're on?
I use.
Okay. You have a smartphone.
Me not the money can buy credit.
You have a smartphone.
No, Wi-Fi come up because like when you had cool down, Wi-Fi come up.
Yeah, but you have a smartphone. Yeah. All right, sir. Hello. He's gone. All right. So I'll look out for that. We came on late tonight. Harry.
Hey, Neighbour.
Harry, thanks for hanging on here, sir. We all the time here.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Oh, we have one more man. Buzz. Good night, sir. Hello. Hello, sir. Buzz, good night.
Buzz Wi-Fi ever give problem.
Let's leave it there, no? All right. Do we have any other, Caroline? All right. Well, if that's it, then that's it. Until tomorrow. Thank you so much for spending time with us tonight on the late shift. Look at the time. 9 after 12. 350 people still up here. Thank you. State of mind. Hi.